entering the second part of the day here. With us today, all the way from Italy, is Mauro de Fabritiis. Mauro, please come to the stage. Mauro has an extensive track record in advising clients in Italy, Spain, and Latin America on market and regulatory developments. He is here to tell us about responsible advertising, a hot button issue in an increasing number of regulated EU markets from an Italian and pan-European perspective. Mauro, thank you for coming here. Please come to the stage.
Okay. Good evening, all of you, and thank Willem for the opportunity to speak in this beautiful and ancient location. I think I can stimulate your attention with this dynamic and interesting topic. I will try to work just to wake up after the launch. I'm a business consultant, and I have 16 years of experience in the gaming market, and I've been supporting regulators in different European countries and in Latin America, and also operators to define effective strategy and models in regulated environments. I will speak today about the difficult task to regulate advertising, and I want to start with some number regarding the general situation. So we have right now at the global level a growing market, a growing gambling market where numbers are growing up in the last years, and especially online is representing more and more a higher incidence on the full portfolio. Due to pandemic, land-based go down this year, and it's difficult to predict since now for the future how will be the equilibrium between online and the land-based depending on the duration of the pandemic. If we go through the products, we can see that the betting has been historically the leading segment, but due to the lack of events, the weight in the total portfolio decreased and moved from 54 to 50%. And casino games are, let's say it's the lucky segment and grow up because of the pandemic and the capacity of online to keep the correct distance against the land-based. Poker grow up, but on our perspective, it's a phenomenon related to the pandemic and will continue in the future with the normal trend. Let's have also a general look to the different countries, and you can see that I put here a comparison between 6 meaningful countries in Europe: Denmark, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, and UK, and the general trend is positive and growing until 2019. What will happen in the future years and what is going to happen because of the COVID-19? I can say that, taking as example 2 of the countries in the slide, like Italy and Spain, segments like casino have been growing more than 30% in the months of the pandemic, if we compare the GGR with the GGR of the same period previous year. It seems that this is an effect of the contingency, and maybe the growth will be the same as in the previous trend. But it seems that the online is not suffering as, of course, the land-based, the effect of the pandemic. I think that in order to understand and to introduce the advertising topic, I think it could be useful to go back to some years ago and to analyze the story of the regulation to understand where we were at the birth and where we are now, and what we will have to do in order, from a regulatory perspective, to define the right choices and calculate the impact that our choices could have on the market. The paradigm at the beginning of this history, in the birth, when the internet was growing, was essentially to regulate. The betting was the first segment. I remember after Malta and Curacao, the first countries to come into the regulation were UK and Italy. And after this first period, after 2005, essentially since 2009 to 2010, we have the development of the regulation in many of the European countries, a regulatory wave that during, let's say, less than 10 years, covered the total of the countries in Europe with the regulation that we have right now. And in this period is the period of the development of the growth, where companies starts to change their positioning from the .com asset, from the .com positioning to the .country positioning. And so they try to adapt their strategy to the regulated environment and create a new positioning in the market in order to guarantee their visibility and the positioning of their brand. After this phase, we are in a third phase that I call consolidation. So many of the markets are now mature, and let's say the competitive environment of the market is defined, and there are some markets like Netherlands that has a big opportunity right now that are starting the regulation. So we are in a phase where some countries are re-regulating the market, and some of the countries start regulating the market. Why re-regulation? Because now the paradigm of the previous years of the birth has changed. Governments are not worried about turn the illegal into legal, but they are looking at the way to control the legal side, and so to define effective ways of controlling the market, and the advertising is included in this general scenario. So one thought on this, but everyone speaks of advertising. We have to limit advertising, we have to control the gambler, we have to avoid dangerous behavior, we have to prevent ludopathy, and so on. But advertising is only a part of the regulation, because in order to regulate a market, we have to control, for sure, the advertising with specific rules, but we have to define the gaming offer, how large, how many products. And we have to control the technology, which is the technology of the regulator in order to control the market, and which is the technology of the operator in order to fulfill the technical requirements and in order to be effective with the marketing actions and with the business positioning. And then all the area related to the responsible gambling. So we have different actors here in an ecosystem, the regulator, the operators, and the consumer, that have to converge in the same design in order to have a regulatory system that is consistent and it's coherent. So, going to the topic of advertising, we can see that the advertising could be ruled in different ways. Could be not regulated, and it's something that I will never recommend, or could be completely restricted with banning the advertising, like it happened in Italy, and it seems starts to happen in Spain, but in different way. Or we could be in the middle, so regulate specific aspects with some prohibitions and some area of, that allow operators to do marketing actions for their business, or the best, on my perspective, is the co-regulation. So to put around the table operator and regulator to find the best and most effective way to define the advertising possibility. I have no comments for this slide, but the general meaning is that the advertising restrictions is something that it's in the mouth of every country. So everyone now is trying to restrict the advertising, to ban the advertising, because there is a perception that the exposure of the gaming sector is too much. And so the political parties or the governments are worried about the potential negative effect of this exposure. And so the most simple thing is to forbid the advertising. But is this the right choice? And Holland has the opportunity to do things right now. And so my personal opinion is that Holland should think over it carefully in order to save the equilibrium that the brand .country has gained in these years up to now. So in order to allow operator differentiate the .country from the illegal or the .com. You can see in this map how the different countries are positioned looking at the advertising options, so open option to advertise, or on the left side, complete restrictions, and the attractivity of the offer, that is a combination of many things, of the taxation, so the taxation has to be affordable in order to guarantee the equilibrium, and the attractivity of the offer itself in terms of product. And we see that the more the countries are down on the left, the more will be difficult to stimulate the correct channeling. So, just an example of what Netherlands and Germany, as a next-to-come country, are going to do. And you can see in red some of the areas that are sensible and something on which we should think upon in order to make the regulation environment effective and fight against the illegal offer. I will jump really fast to the conclusion, because I think I have less than 1 minute to give room to the questions. And the synthesis here is that if we want to find a way in which the ecosystem is in equilibrium, we need really a cooperation between the 3 key actors of the system. So mainly, operators and regulators should cooperate to find a model that it's for sure different from the initial model from the beginning, but that could be effective in order to address the customer on the right offer, on the legal offer. In this sense, the customer is not a passive actor, because the customer should learn a new way to buy the game, to entertain. And so we, as operators and as regulators, both have a great task, a sensible task, to educate the customer to a new approach to gambling. And just as a conclusion, what can operator do to help this process and to cooperate with the regulator? Start with the analysis of the data in order to predict the behaviors and to define effective actions to control the market and the customer behavior. Make the responsible gambling as a pillar of the full corporate strategy. So at all levels, from the customer service to the other department, and use the responsible gaming as a marketing pillar coming out from the race, the bonus race, the bonus competition, that it's maybe it's the old era, and then create and inform and promote measures constantly to protect the players. So I thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I'm really open to any questions.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mauro, for this first part. I think we have some questions in Slido. Again, if you're watching remotely, please feel free to add the questions to the Slido app. Or if you are here in the room, apart from using Slido, please raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you in a second. Mauro, let's look at the questions. The first, what has been the impact of Italy's advertising ban on the market? Who are the winners? Who are the losers?
Okay. Generally speaking, after the introduction of the advertising ban, the market is still growing. But there are some differences, and maybe some of the effect, we will see some of the effect in the future and not right now. First of all, a concentration of the market. Of course, the brand and the companies that are stable and with a great customer base and with good brand awareness will be able to take advantage from restrictions. And the small operators and the medium operators have difficulties to stay in the market, so they have to, some way, to innovate in order to and find correct strategy in order to, let's say, be sustainable in the market. The market is not completely banned. There are things that operators can do.
Great.
So there are possibilities.
Great. Let's move to the second question here. Is there a correlation between the legal market saturation and ad bans? Will ad bans cause growth in the illegal market?
It's something dangerous on the ban in general, on my opinion, especially in growing market. Because let's imagine, or starting market. Let's imagine that we put a ban in a market where, like Holland, we have the example in house, where operators start to position in the market. I strongly believe that the customer will choose the legal side and not the illegal. But we have to make the customer aware that there is a difference between the legal and the illegal, and so we have to help the sector to promote the legal side. So I think that the level of channeling, and so the size of the black market could increase because of a ban.
Okay. Reference to channeling. Last question, we have 1 more minute left. What is your advice to Dutch industry associations regarding advertising self-regulation?
I think that in general, the industry should enter into a new mood. Anyway, there is a new model of competition in the markets. It's not the same model operators were carrying out in 2000 and so on. So it's important to put the customer protection as a focus of the new strategy. So for sure, as I said before, the way companies are organized and the way they position in a regulated environment should be strongly oriented to the customer protection and to the responsible gaming. So I will suggest to the industry to promote ways, effective ways, also with the help of technology, with artificial intelligence and other tools, to build up this kind of constraints and help also the customer to behave consequently. And I think this could be win-win in the golden circle we have designed.
As in your last slide. Mauro, thank you very much for coming to Amsterdam all the way, despite the present situation, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.